Now time to start with the keynote address. The keynote address will be delivered by none other than Dr. Ranjit Rath on Mineral Exploration Ecosystem for Indian Geological Milieu, Transformational Disruptions. Sir, please.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again. It's a pleasure being part of this entire event today. And again, thank you very much to Mr. Hemraj Suryavanshi and Dr. Sandeep Rai to having me here. And I'm sure you all have had an extensive deliberation on the exploration activities that has been done so far in Mahakoshal region and an exploration strategy also, because that's also my job to kind of summarize at the end. But now taking the session 3 ahead, see, basically what I see today is during the COVID time, lot of things happened on the desktop. And I'm very glad to inform to the House that all the team members that we had as part of the committee are here present today. And they would actually be sharing their thoughts about the extensive and excellent work that has been done for the mineral and mining sector. Now, if you look at it, the way the things were happening, and post 2015, there was a sudden drop because there was a change. There was a change which was transformational in nature. And we were looking at possibilities of auction. The sector was not prepared. So it was a shock. Then slowly, there was a built-up which happened. But then 5 years, we didn't see much of a traction. And we continued to work the way we were working. So when we looked at it incisively, we realized that it cannot be one size fits all. So we had to look at commodities per se, we had to look at basins per se, we had to look at strategies for exploration specific to commodities. And believe me, what a journey it was. As a geoscientist, probably one of the best satisfying exercise that we did. That is what I intend to share with you all today. So we are actually talking about a geological milieu which is witnessing a transformational disruption, and we should feel proud and privileged to be part of it, more from the younger generation purpose. Because the outlook of our geoscientists had to align with the new reality. It is the new normal. And that is very essential. So that's why we have conceived this particular session. And you would see the next speakers, they would all amalgamate on the same thought. So primarily the presentation is captured in 4 parts. We all are aware of this particular map. And we are talking about the central part of the country, that is Mahakoshal region, sliced between or within the central Indian. Now, the whole issue that we are talking about, if you look at the OGP area, how it is matching. Now, it does not mean that we are actually looking at the only possibilities within the OGP area. Now, first of all, is it something that we will restrict ourselves within the OGP? Or we will also look at the possibilities of finding REs or otherwise, which we did along with the youngsters in GSI TI during the peak COVID period for the REs and by identifying select basins. Now, when we talk about it, we are very clear about this particular split of areas. We all know 32 lakh square kilometer is the area that we are talking about, out of which our obvious geological potential I have stretched to the maximum possible as 8 lakh square kilometer. From GSI perspective, it is 5.5 stretched to 6.5 square kilometer. Now, are we sufficiently positioned in that? That's number one question. Number two question, is it all covered? Are we looking at a mature geology which has undergone extensive erosion during the transformation of the Gondwana land as we speak today of Indian geography? Have we done enough for our exploration coverage? Are we going to talk about only the basic geological mapping, or we ought to include our colleagues or the technological expertise that is available in terms of geophysics per se? Is it imperative to look at today the way our colleagues or geoscientists in other countries are working on this particular facet? The integration of all the sciences is the basic need. We have got flagship projects of NGCM, NGPM, but we have got miles to go, in completing those tasks, and not only completing, creating a baseline data for the auction regime. That's more important. Now, this is very close to heart for any geologist. Now, when we talk about the thought process that goes before a program is conceived, we must conceive the program in full scale. Integration of geophysics, basic geosciences, and 3D model as and when applicable. When we will go to the commodity specific, I'll give emphasis on it, because the stakeholders today are looking at auction and we need to give them a product which is sellable. If we attach or develop a estimated resources driven by a 3D model, then we get buyers. And from any open economy point of view, a single auction mode with maximum buyers is a need, not multiple times, because we don't have buyers actually. So it all depends how we conceive our reports and hand it over to our stakeholders in the state government. This is what actually adds value to any mining engineer. The moment we give any 3D model, it kickstarts the mining process. Unless we do it, there is a serious problem which our economic boost is required, because please believe me, our GDP and mining sector's contribution to GDP is in decimal percentage. And the target is 2.5%. It's a big and tall order ask. Unless we are clear that we are creating or carving out blocks, we are creating a structure or a 3D model, we won't have buyers. The responsibility is on us. Now, this is that critical slide which I would like to put emphasis on. Initially, we were actually targeting things on regional mineral, targeting G4 stage, G3 stage, G2 stage, and G1 stage. It is anybody's guess that as we go up from G4 to G1, we do not improve certainty. And I stand again repeating it. We reduce uncertainties. Two different things. So while we are reducing uncertainties, we are actually increasing the certainties, but it is always reduction of uncertainty. Now the question is, earlier Government of India has been funding the risk money to create something for the concessionaire to take it on first come first serve basis. And then this risk money was spent as per the timeline desired by us, not acceptable anymore. The risk money concept has to be focused only on high value, deep seated and concealed minerals. And even then it has to be fast tracked. The base, I will say the basic metals or the bedded deposits are to be explored or handed over through auction. There is no other way to fast track their production. The basic metals, iron ore, limestone, bauxite, these three primarily, which has got a huge impact on our economy. And as we talk about copper, lead, zinc, or precious metals like silver and gold, or diamond, then of course we need to look at G2 model. This is a fantastic block. We are all aware of UNFC classification, but this thing is very unique to our country. We are not talking only about E-axis, G-axis, and F-axis. As geoscientists, we get so obsessed with the G-axis that the E and F-axis stays at a back end. But as informed geoscientists, we must appreciate the commercial value of our work that we are doing. Therefore, all our blocks should have certain component of E and F attached to it. It brings up the value. Now, the fourth dimension that I wanted to highlight today is the excellent relationship that today we have with the central government as a policy maker, and mineral being a state subject. The ownership lies with the state. The quasi-federal system is best displayed today in mines and mineral sector. The CGPB, the SGPB, CGPB interactions are actually the engine for these kind of deliberations and engagement in a later stage. So this is again a thrust that as geologists we must look at E and F critically. We just cannot say that it is not part of our delivery system. Now, while we prepared for the reforms, earlier we were looking at G2 level exploration. Now, as part of reforms, there is a kind of, I will not say confusion, lack of understanding. As part of reforms or the modified rules, the level of exploration or the requirement for exploration for each stage is not diluted. It has been maintained as it is. The only thing that has been done, the auction line, you could see the auction bar or axis of auction is shifted to the left. It is incumbent upon the concessionaire, basis the auction line position, to carry out the exploration as has been defined. Now, there is also an enabler created in the new rules. You need not wait till the complete exploration is done. Now today, IBM team, I have the IBM team here, are sensitized enough to start the production process by virtue of having part exploration and having a reserve available and approval is given. Believe me, the intent is to kickstart the mining sector with production. So coming back, we have the concept of National Mineral Inventory maintained by IBM. That is all part of baseline survey. The more detail we are going on is our actually commercial transactions. There are bidding parameters and there are reporting formats. So the earlier, whatever government was funding as part of risk money, today is intended to be funded by the commercial entity who wins the block. They carry the risk. It's their money. If they are successful, it is a huge windfall for them. So in summary, we have come to an understand, and this is the new normal which is going to stay. Auction is the only form of allocation of mineral blocks. And we are all aware of the fact that National Mineral Exploration Trust has been created, and an enabler for socio-economic development, we have DMF. Now, one pause on NMET. I'm aware of the fact that NMET has been created to fund the exploration activities. Now, are we encouraging enough to see that, are we encouraging enough to see that the implementation is done on a fast forward basis? Are we looking at the proposals with the intent that let's have additional data? It would yield results, if not today, tomorrow. Are we counting the NMET allocations the way we were doing GSI projects 10 years ago? Time to think. the way we were doing 10 years ago, GSI projects, funding, approach, scheme, decision making has to change if we are looking at NMET executions. Because state governments are dependent for this. Another thing as part of this reform is now the state governments are the decision makers. They need not write to central government that I have a G3 block in Bhima Basin, there are takers of cement industries, can I do it in mining lease? No. The reforms allows them to take up that decision. If certain minerals are available in certain basins, in G3 they can do ML. And in G4 they can do composite license. For decision making and fast interaction, there are JWGs are in place. And I am aware of the fact our colleagues in GSI are playing a pioneering role in handholding with the state governments. And of course, I am also aware that GSI is seriously pursuing creating a database which will actually be the engine of growth for the exploration landscape of the country. Another good thing that has happened by virtue of this is today we have very strong collaborative approach. MECL traditionally was having collaboration with CMPDIL. But in very recently, there has been a serious traction between MECL and GSI, and today MECL has joined hands with GSI to carry out baseline geoscience data collection. Simultaneously, there has been serious engagement happening with the state governments. Now, couple of basics. As commercial entities, exploration is supposed to be considered as an investment, not an expenses. This is very, very emphatic for every geoscientist in the country. Number two, as we have a CSR mandate for the corporates or our mining companies who has not been pursuing the allocated lease. I take the opportunity of having IBM team here to highlight this. We should have a certain percentage mandate for the mining companies as part of their exploration investment. And of course, we are all aware that the risk-taking ability, which I had said in the morning and at the cost of repetition, we must inculcate a habit of geologists taking risk. That is so important today for enhancing and expediting exploration coverage. While doing it, we must allow them to fail and document those failures for the future generation. Thank you very much.